May we proceed to the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister. Minister, I have about 5 or 6 questions. The first specifically being around restoring credibility to South African police service, especially with all the noise that we're seeing at the moment. If we look over the past few years, I jotted down a few names. You look at General Ngubeni, Bakhlani, Ngwenya, and then obviously recently too. Just shortly, how do you intend to restore credibility and accountability in the senior command structure? And then part 2 of the question, how will you ensure that merit and integrity, and specifically not political favor or loyalty, determine any further senior appointments and promotions?
Chairperson, thank you, Mr. Cameron, for the question.
Sorry, Minister, I must just say, you must make sure to not call me chair, because yesterday the chair got very upset when I was called chair as well. No, I know, I'm just teasing. I'm just joking.
No, I mean chair number 1. But you also chair an important committee. So today I do not want to present myself as having a blueprint and as having all the answers. I'm going to follow a process of engagement, of consultation, of inquiry to build the capacity, the support in the institution for change. Now, the issue of integrity management, there is a level of corruption in the South African police service, apparently at all levels. I think officers at station level are under a lot of pressure when they are newly recruited and they go to a police station and there's already a command structure there that makes it impossible for a new recruit to function in a professional way. And clearly we've had corruption related to procurement. If General Mkhwanazi is right, then police officers, politicians, senior police officers, if he's right, have been involved in procurement fraud. So I think SAPS needs an integrity management system. We need some advice on that. Lifestyle audits. We have to look at procurement reform. I think the way SAPS handles discipline within the organization needs to be looked at. Procurement, I learned in your committee that and looking at the Auditor General's reports, that the bid committees, as you know now, employ people who are not trained to do that really shocked me. So, you know, I think it's very clear the target areas: crime intelligence, the DPCI, detectives, supply chain, recruitment, training. So the whole way in which resources are managed. I think that what we now have in SAPS is a very large organization with mass recruits. It's a mass organization. Now we've got to ensure that we are recruiting people who have the skills and capabilities in critical areas to enable SAPS to carry out all its responsibilities. It might well be that at station level, you know, we need statement taking, but the skills that are required, they are not the same as you need in the DPCI or in crime intelligence or in detective services. So merit appointments, I think that what we've learned over the last 30 years, the country now needs to learn where we went wrong, where we made mistakes, and also what we did right. So I think that in the police service, if it's going to be a professional body, then recruitment decisions, appointment decisions have to be based on merit. How we achieve that is not a question that I have an answer to yet. But I think that that is clearly has to be part of the reset agenda.
Thank you, Minister. The next question is not it may come across as a trick question to put you into a corner, but it's not intended that way. The question is, would you agree to something like a promotion and appointment audit from the past 15 years? And the reason I ask the question as background, if you listen to almost all the testimonies that we've heard so far, the majority of the names that come up, almost all of them are usually the same. We've heard the name of Richard Mgluli a few times, General Khan, General Moodley. There are a few specific names that keep on popping up. I think the latest one earlier this week was Lieutenant General Mboto in the DPCI. Those are all names that have been flagged significantly by oversight structures. In fact, Mboto being one of the latter ones from the police committee specifically. But despite being flagged by Parliament and by IPID, promotions went ahead. Can you, I'm not aware of such a process having been run in any department before, but would you agree to something like that we can see, because it feels to me that we can have all the strategy in the world, but if we don't make sure the right people enforce that strategy, I can't see us making progress.
Thank you for the question. So I think the larger question here is about how you achieve change in a large organization that is ailing in certain respects. Do you look backwards, or do you incentivize a progressive project? That's my inclination. I'm not so sure that I want to, like Lord, look back and create an environment that is unstable, perhaps, where an accusatory environment where everybody is in question and where everybody feels that their integrity, their position is in question. So what I would ask you to consider is the question, how do we move forward from this point in SAPS? I mean, I think that that's a question for the country as well. We appear to be kind of stuck because we're trying to get accountability for what's happened in the past, but we're also trying to fashion a new future. And I think that the question for me, the main question, the only question is, what's the reset agenda? What does it look like, and how to execute on that agenda? And I think some of the allies of that project, some of the people who might support that project may not be on the right side now. But I think they should be afforded an opportunity to embrace change, because I think most people afforded the opportunity will do so. So I suppose it's a long-winded way of saying that this is not where my headspace is at the moment to audit what's happened over the last 10 years. I want to give everyone an opportunity to take part in a project to reset South African Police Service on a positive path.
Thank you, Minister. It's a difficult. I think it might warrant a longer discussion or a deeper discussion. I mentioned the latter, the Lieutenant General in the Hawks. It's someone that is known to have spent significant time with Nafiz Modak and co. And interfered in very serious arrests. Now, in my view, and I think you'd agree, someone like that to reset must be removed from the system. There are Richard and Gluli's sons that are still operating in crime intelligence. They need to be sacked. It's literally that simple. So, but I also agree with you. I think I agree with you partly in the sense that we don't want it. Everyone mustn't be suspicious of each other the whole time. We need to somehow restore that trust. But I think there'll need to be some kind of a balance about who is left and who is removed. I want to understand from your point of view, and this relates to the Medicare 24 contract, ask the same question to the deputy ministers. Who do we hold accountable for this whole Medicare 24 procurement issue? How do you approach it from the ministry's point of view? I mean, if you look at the Auditor General report, it's about 3.5 billion rands worth of irregular expenditure over a few years, and this past financial year, it's 650 million. Of which that is, I think Honourable James asked the question, as we said yesterday. Who do you hold accountable?
So, Chair, with your permission, the Auditor General's report is an objective report. I think that the main challenge now is to put in place a post-audit action plan that should include looking at that contract. And where matters have been raised by the Auditor General, I think there is a duty to implement appropriate action.
Thank you, Minister. Minister, my last two questions. The first one, I've got 4 minutes left. What single measurable commitment can you make to this committee today to demonstrate, not to demonstrate, but measurable commitment can you make to the committee that we're going to see some kind of a change? You've been thrown in at the deep end, so respect for taking up the job. What would that commitment be?
Well, I don't know if it's measurable. You know, in some ways, I think my entire life has led to this point. And I have a duty to tackle the challenge that the President has placed before me and, you know, the country, this committee. Now, so I think I can say that I am fully committed to addressing the issues of safety and security in the country. I think that the South African Police Service, for me, it is an achievement that we've built this national organization over the last 30 years. It now needs it needs to be refashioned to address to learn from the lessons that we should be drawing from the mistakes we've made, and to rebuild to build a police service that honors this country, that functions under a constitution, that keeps our people safe, that creates an environment for growth and for individual flourishing. That's the vision before us. The only question is, what is the roadmap? And I don't have that roadmap yet. I have some ideas. I have some clarity about what I think the key issues are. And I'm going to be putting in place a process to get to that point. I think there needs to be, I need to bring in the expertise that I need in civil society, from academia, to look at these questions of organizational design and structure, resourcing, to look at policing strategy and policy, to bring in, impactful, commentators, intellectuals who who are close to communities, who understand our society, who have views about that will help us think about what kind of police service we want to build now to 2040. That, I think, is a reasonable time span. We should try and have clear targets for what can be achieved in year one, and then I think by the end of this term of the current administration, and then going into, say, 2040, what do we need to do now? What's our strategic vision and plan? We don't have one that the minister is leading. I mean, there are various documents that have been that have been prepared and so forth, but I want to start such a process to get to a point in a few months' time when there is a strategic plan which addresses the challenges that SAPS faces. And I think that's going to be my challenge, to map out a vision and a plan to get there for SAPS over the next, say, 15 years to 2 decades.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Breitenbach, is it you next?
Thank you, Chair. Minister, I've known you for a long time, let me put that on record, and I have always held you in high regard, which I continue to do. I would like to discuss with you, first of all, your views on the STIR's requirements for an independent investigative body to deal with corruption and organized crime. And if I understood you correctly, your view was that IDAC is sufficiently independent. Did I misunderstand you?
There have been steps to improve IDAC's independence. I'm not sure that it's fully compliant with the STIR's requirements, which I consider to be mandatory because in one respect we do agree on the outcomes of the Glenister judgment. So I don't think that it was prescriptive. The judgment was prescriptive on what kind of institution has to be established, but it was prescriptive on what is required by the Constitution. And what's required by the Constitution is compliance with the STIR's mandates.
So we absolutely agree on that point.
Yes.
And the independence that it refers to, in my view, is that it should be independent of control by the executive.
Yes.
And impartiality is a different issue. So it should be both, but it can never be truly independent while it's housed within the National Prosecuting Authority. Do you agree?
Not quite. You see, so I am where I think I didn't agree with your certain elements of your proposal is that I think that the power to prosecute and investigate, which is a policing power, must be subject in a democracy to political accountability. You can't have prosecutors in a democracy who are not accountable in some way to an elected government.
We agree.
So accountability is not the same as independence. Now, I think that if you house, IDAC is properly housed in the Department of Justice. But the Department of, the NP, the National Director of Public Prosecutions, in our view of the Council, has to be independent of the Department of the accounting of the DG. Mm-hmm. And so that means that it has control over its budget, its appointment, how the DPP is appointed needs attention. The President did introduce a new process, which I think is a positive development.
It is.
And if the IDEC is housed there, then I don't think that that the fact that overall it's in the Department of Justice is problematic, because I'm not aware of any democracy where such agencies are completely independent of the elected branches of government. And I think that that would be a dangerous precedent, because you then have a situation where you have a privately funded body that has the public power to prosecute, that is, to send people to jail. You know, that's an awesome power. Democracies have ways of ensuring that, or ensuring accountability, but I don't. But you know, the system has shown a certain fragility over time. Now we've got to draw some lessons, strengthen those institutions by complying with the constitutional mandates which are clearly established now, both in our domestic law and internationally.
So, see, the difficulty I have with the approach that you're taking is that, the institution that we envisage is not privately funded. It's funded by Treasury, just negotiated directly without the interference of the Department of Justice. And B, it's accountable to Parliament, like any other Chapter 9 institution. So all the Chapter 9 institutions come to the Justice Portfolio Committee, they're held accountable. So there's no issue with accountability. Accountability is a prerequisite, of course. But while it's housed within the National Prosecuting Authority, and you will recall that you referred yourself to the DSO, the Scorpions, and you agreed that that was a good model and an effective model. But as soon as it became uncomfortable for politicians, they disbanded them, because all they need is a 50% plus one in Parliament. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. So it gives you no security of tenure. Muscle memory of people involved in the criminal justice system will never forget that. People who were doing a good job were punished for doing their job. They were fired. They were closed down. There's nothing preventing that happening to IDEC. And while that is the case, nobody really worthwhile will go and work there, because they know they have no security of tenure. When they do their job, and they do it properly, and they go after the people who are connected, they'll get closed down. And that is our issue. And so it does not meet, in my view, the requirement for independence.
Chair, look, I mean, there are versions of your proposal which did suggest that it could be privately funded or draw substantial in private funds. So we agree that would be a very dangerous model. Now, your second argument is that parliamentary oversight is sufficient. I don't agree. I think that, I mean, the Parliament is a large body made up of many members, different parties. It's often very contentious. I think that the issue is here that there has to be accountability to an elected government, whether it's a majority government or a GNU type government. There has to be. The issue, though, that you raise, how then do you ensure insulation from improper political interference? Because like you, I think we have to learn from the DSO experience. Kenya had the same experience. They set up an anti-corruption body. It was dismantled when it went after senior politicians, and now they've got a new anti-corruption agency, which, by the way, is modeled in a way that learns from our constitution. They use that as a model. So I think that the solution to the potential problem of political interference is not to create an institution which is entirely independent of the executive branch. Now, And there is no foolproof example. Let me take what's happening in the United States. You've now got, they've got a constitution which is 200 years old. They have embedded institutions, and now you've got a president who says, you know, I can interfere with, I can decide who's prosecuted, not prosecuted, because my political opponents were doing it. So countries, I don't think there's a foolproof solution. We have Chapter 9 institutions. What's been our experience with the public protector? It is insular, it is constitutionally protected, but now we have a public protector who's doing a good job. We had a public protector at one stage who was doing an excellent job, and then we had an interim period where we had a problem. So there's no foolproof, you know, there's no
Chair,
foolproof.
is there relevance
mechanism.
in this? Point of order, Chair.
May we please not drown the minister and allow him to respond to the benefit of Honorable Breitenbach.
So, you know, and I think that you raise a legitimate
Point of order,
question.
Chair. I just want to know the relevance of this one, where a public protector is doing good and not doing good. What is that? What is that, Chair?
The Honorable Breitenbach has said she has not heard anything, so it is only fair that we allow her that opportunity to get the response, and then we can take the point of order.
So my response to the member Breitenbach's question is that constitutional methods for insulating bodies from political interference. There's no blueprint. A lot depends on the incumbents, on the people who are appointed to serve in these positions. So our experience with the Chapter 9 institutions, which are set in place to guarantee accountability. Some have